ξεκινήσουμε για το δεύτερο debate το σημερινό. Το κοινό θα παρακολουθήσει, θα μας πει τη γνώμη του στο τέλος. Για εσάς που δεν γνωρίζετε και ήρθατε τώρα, κριτές θα είναι οι δύο σύμβουλοι Αγγλικών Ανατολικής Θεσσαλονίκης, ο κύριος Αναστασίου και η κυρία Παπαχατζή, καλά το λέω, κυρία Παπαχατζή και η κυρία Παραμού που γνωρίζετε. Ο Σάββας θα μας κάνει την εισαγωγή. Θα ξεκινήσουμε. The motion for today's debate, this second debate, is words are never justified. Words, I repeat, are never justified. So listen carefully. Afterwards, you're going to cast your vote. Afterwards, at the end of the debate, you're going to cast your vote who's going to be the best debater from each team. All right, the best debater from the third of Kalamaria and the best debater from the third of Θέρμη. Do come in. Okay, it's here. Get the chair. All right, I think that we are ready to start. So, Savas.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to today's debate. The motion for this debate is words are never justified. On my left, we have the affirmative side, which is Angelos and Giorgos, and their team is the Dream Team. And in my right, we have Stella and Stella. Their team name is Stu and Stu.
Stu and Stu. STU.
Yes. Thank you. I was supposed to present, but before we start, I would like to tell you that all speeches are to exceed 5 minutes. Not to exceed 5 minutes, where the cross-examination is at least 2. Thank you, and good luck. Okay, thank you. We may start with the affirmative constructing speech, which is 5 minutes. Time starts now.
Thank you very much, Savas. I would like to start with some sample greeting, of course. Most honorable judges, most worthy opponents, most helpful timekeeper, and ladies and gentlemen of the audience. Me and my teammates strongly and firmly believe that wars are never justified, whatever the context may be. I would like to start by stating what is war. War usually is an armed conflict between two factions or nations or even political groups. Also, I would like to state that sometimes wars are not like that. For example, there is the Pig War, which actually never had any kind of conflict. And there are also undeclared wars, like the Cold War, which had a lot of hostility. Now I would like to state what is justified. I believe that only right, appropriate, rational, however you may call them, generally morally acceptable actions are justified. So to begin today's debate, I would like to state that wars usually begin when with misguided ideas of power and righteousness. For example, the Napoleonic Wars with Napoleon, and of course the Second World War with the Nazis. Also, I would like to state that wars have horrendous short and long-term effects. For example, the short-term effects are death of the soldiers and starvation of everyone. And from the long-term effects, there is also the infamous Hiroshima and Nagasaki with the nuclear explosions and PTSD. After that, I would like to continue with the soldiers that they become like hunters or even animals. They work only by instinct, they commit atrocities, and generally they turn to the dark side. After that, I would like to state that wars also have a destruction of the environment, or even culture. For example, the Parthenon in Greece was damaged during many wars, and especially the Second World War. And lastly, I would like to say that someone may state that wars happen for resources or some stolen goods, maybe even. I would like to state that there is, of course, many examples that point the opposite, like the First World War, which happened of the execution, of the assassination, I'm sorry, and also there is the quite not exactly real, it is speculated whether it was real, the Iliad, which states that it happened because the Trojans stole the helm of Troy and it led to catastrophic consequences. To conclude, I would like to state that wars don't really have winners, only losers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angelos. We move now to the negative cross-examination. Would like to go Stella.
Okay. So we have your speech, and we agree on some parts, but we have some questions. So first of all, as you mentioned, most of the time there are devastation and catastrophic results. But don't you think that sometimes the aftermath might not be that wrong? For example, see the Great Depression of America. After the war, the outcome was their economic revival, of course. So what do you think about that?
Well, I would like to say that most of the time it is catastrophic, and it could lead to way worse things. For example, you mentioned the First World War, which also led to the First World War, led to the Second World War, which everyone knows as the most catastrophic event in human history. And as Einstein said, I know not what weapons will be used in the Third World War, but I know that in the Fourth World War will be fought with sticks and stones.
Don't you think that following our instincts, basically you mentioned that soldiers in war become animals. Don't you think that following our instincts is a good thing? They are instincts for a reason.
Yes, that is certainly true, but also during that and, of course, in the aftermath, they become quite lost in their thoughts, in their experiences. They rely only on their instinct, not mostly. They don't really realize what they are defending. They are just fighting. So they aren't really living during that time, and after that, they are just surviving.
Thank you both teams. So we'll now go to the negative rebuttal. The time is 5 minutes and it starts now.
Well, you mentioned Hiroshima, and I do agree that Hiroshima attack was catastrophic and many people died during and after the attack from the effects, cancer for example. But firstly, Hiroshima doesn't suffer from these effects anymore. And secondly, nowadays, there aren't any chemical weapons used in wars, they're banned. Also, Hiroshima wasn't the worst, this catastrophe by radiation, because Chernobyl was, and it was just one mistake, so I don't think that the wars do pollute the environment. I think that us people pollute the environment more than within the war. You also mentioned that many soldiers after a war have PTSD or other mental illnesses, but we can treat them, most of them basically. And veterans and soldiers are rewarded, they can traumatized, but they are rewarded with money and basically achievements so they can live a happy life after the war. Also, you mentioned that everyone who participated in the war are the lost. But I think that many victorious wars make people many victorious wars have a great aftermath. For example, the Greek Revolution. If we didn't participate in the Greek Revolution, would now be a part of Turkey or the Ottoman Empire. Also, many companies that many things we have nowadays and we take them for granted would be unimaginable. For example, everyone doesn't know the grand sports of Mitsubishi. We started by creating tanks. To conclude, I have to tell that, well, wars sometimes have a avoidant effect on us, but most of the times they help us by providing progress.
Thank you very much. So now we go to negative constructive speech. So we have 5 minutes and they're starting now.
Okay. So most honorable judges, most worthy opponents, most helpful timekeeper, and of course, ladies and gentlemen of this audience, welcome to today's event. So we, the negative side of this debate, strongly and firmly believe that taking every kind of war as unjustifiable is nothing but pure fallacy, for a number of reasons, of course. So let's first define some terms. By the word war, we mean a state of declared and open armed conflict between two nations or inside the nation, or between two political groups. And by the term justified, we mean something that's declared or proven to be righteous and reasonable. So to begin with, if anyone studies the history of humanity, he will see a multitude of war conflicts. So all those wars are categorized in several groups, but according to a Chicago University research, the type of war that occurs most frequently is the revolutionary war. So by the term revolutionary war, we mean a war that is not fueled by hostility, hate, imperialism, and greed, but has only humanitarian, noble, benevolent, and pure goals in mind. I think that a great and typical example of this kind of war is the Greek Revolutionary War in 1821, in which a great number, I mean thousands, of brave civilians and soldiers gave their lives to defend our country and also defend their sovereignty. By this term we mean their political independence, their own identity, the cultural independence, and their territorial independence. And as we all know, I think, if this war hadn't occurred, we wouldn't be standing there today. Because, as my partner mentioned, Greece would be a forgotten part of the ancient history. So another type of war that I think is a really reasonable solution is wars that defend the humanity as a species. For example, they defend us against crimes against humanity. I will give you an example, of course. World War II. Hitler tried to make a whole nation implement his abhorrent and horrific ideas of eliminating a whole species, meaning genocide. And if our nation and other nations hadn't cooperated to stop him, I think that actions beyond the human imagination would have taken place. So also I think that it's worth mentioning that war's outcome is not always devastation and the loss of numbers of human lives, as most people believe, but it can be progress and development as well as economical revival, as I mentioned, with the Great Depression of America. And also, I believe that destruction is the required state of rebirth and intern revolution, as war and the innate desire for conquest and war is something that will be always in our instincts for a reason, of course. Last but not least, many people believe that due to the inevitability that many people die at war, I mean soldiers, and as well there happen many civilian casualties, war cannot be justified. But I would like to make clear that those soldiers have chosen this path, have chosen to dedicate their lives to liberate the country and to serve a purpose. So it's not words, people that have chosen this career. And also I know that many innocent lives are lost, which is indeed something not that happy event, but according to a recent research by the Boston University, in the majority of wars, more soldiers die and troops than innocent people. So something else that I would really like to state, because I think it's really important, is that diplomacy cannot function well without this possibility of war. So for all the above reasons, me and my partner believe that deeming all types of war unjustifiable is indeed really unwise.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that was perfect timing. So we move to affirmative cross-examination. Good luck.
So, I would like to, like you said, that war is sometimes revolutionary or to defend themselves. But what makes killing in a revolutionary war something legal? Shouldn't every killing should be a murder and though punishable?
I think that it's a point, but I think you should definitely take into account that all those killings, all those lives lost, are lost for a reason. I mean, liberating our country and defending our identity. Because if we don't, I think, defend ourselves, we don't respect ourselves. So all those lives lost are lost for a good purpose. Also, all the soldiers and troops that died during war are honored after the war. So, and for example, every 25 of March, we do parades and stuff to honor them. So I think that answers your question.
So, do you really believe it should be acceptable for people to live in fear of war breaking out in their back door, and by extension, should this be justified?
Well, that's the only problem solver we have, because how can we use diplomacy without the fear of war? Then, what if a country tells another country that I want some of the territory? What will make them accept the offer? I think that's the only thing we can do about that. And not all wars have so many deaths nowadays. They did in the past, though.
Okay, thank you very much. Two very good times, I can say. I'm quite impressed. So we move to the affirmative rebuttal. Just a friendly reminder, no definitions now, and it's the last part of our debate. Thank you. Time starts.
I would like to start by summarizing everything that has already been said. To begin with, wars may start for a plethora of reasons, such as misguided ideas, and everyone in any wars suffers from a lot of long and short-term effects. Now, you mentioned how in Hiroshima it recovered and it's better now. But wouldn't it just be better if it just never happened? If nobody died there, everyone went and died from other reasons instead of losing their lives for practically nothing? Then, you mentioned how veterans are rewarded and they may after that live a normal life. But how is this true if they suffer from PTSD, if they cannot think correctly, if war led to a lot of problems in their brains? Then you mentioned also victorious wars, how people would be happy if they won a war. But their countries are almost always devastated despite no matter what. In the First World War, for example, or the Second World War, people were devastated despite which side they were on. An example is our own country. After the Second World War, in which we are theoretically winners, our banks were looted, our economy was destroyed, and we had practically nothing for industry. Then you also mentioned some big brands such as Fiat, Porsche, and Mitsubishi. But I think personally, I don't know if you agree, but it would be far better if they just didn't exist. I could use other car brands instead of this. I wouldn't sacrifice them making tanks and killing people just so that I could have a car today. Then, you mentioned how wars such as revolutions happened. I don't necessarily agree with one of the most famous revolutions, for example, is the American Revolution, which was fought with blood. But could you tell me which country is north of them? I can tell you it's Canada. How did Canada get its revolution? Simply by asking the British by a lot of diplomacy. They got the revolutions without any bloodshed. They got their independence without any bloodshed. Then you mentioned defensive wars, such as, not defensive wars exactly, wars that are just because they stopped people. But World War II, which you mentioned by Hitler, Hitler started the war and he is who we should blame. He wasn't trying to, we weren't trying to get justice, he was just bad and we were defending against him. We were not just, the war should not be justified, that's what we are saying. Then instincts, you mentioned instincts, how we should take into consideration our instincts. But that's not what humans do. Humans think that animals are the ones who use their instincts. Humans have stronger brains and more intelligent brains for some reason. Then you mentioned how it's for people who fight in the war, frequently it's their choice. But I will say something that I said before. Wouldn't it just be better if they just didn't have to, if the war just never happened at all, if they didn't have to sacrifice their lives, their livelihoods, their families for that? I personally think that the answer is yes, it would be much better. And thank you. I will again repeat that we strongly and firmly believe that wars under any circumstances should not be justified.
Thanks.
That's the end of our debate. Can I have a moment of your attention, please? Thank you. So that was the last part of our debate. We bade our judges to make the results. I wish both of the teams good luck. You both did great. Thank you for being with us today. It was my pleasure being with you today.
Thank you. Λοιπόν, παιδιά, αυτό ήταν το τέλος της σημερινής διαδικασίας και θα έλεγα και το τέλος της φετινής χρονιάς στο Την Πέμπτη. Θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω όλα τα παιδιά τα οποία πήραν φέτος μέρος σε αυτό εδώ το πρόγραμμα, το οποίο όπως είδατε και καταλάβατε ήταν λίγο παραπάνω απαιτητικό από ότι ένα συνηθισμένο πρόγραμμα. Τι το έκανε απαιτητικό? Το έκανε το ότι ήταν ό,τι θέλατε να πείτε, έπρεπε να μπορέσετε να έχετε την ευκαιρία να το πείτε στα αγγλικά. Είναι ή δεν είναι αυτό ένα κλικ πιο δύσκολο? Ούτως ή άλλως. Παρ' όλα αυτά τα πήγατε πάρα πολύ καλά εσείς και είμαστε πάρα πολύ ευχαριστημένοι μαζί σας. Τώρα, από εκεί και πέρα ευχαριστούμε και τους δύο συμβούλους που ήρθαν, φυσικά έπαιξαν πολύ σημαντικό ρόλο.
Ελπίζουμε να σας άρεσε.
Και ως προς τη διαβλητότητα της διαδικασίας, θα έλεγα εγώ, εννοείται την Παρανούτη Μαρία ως τρίτη κριτή, βεβαίως τη Σεβαστίδου την Μαρία που τραβάει και την δημοσιογραφική κάλυψη, θα έλεγα, και φυσικά και τη Σύνοδο καθηγήτρια από το Τρίτο Καλαμαριάς. Λοιπόν, καλύτερος debater από την πρώτη ομάδα, στην πρώτη ομάδα ξαναλέμε, το πρώτο debate
είναι ο Γιώργος από το σχολείο της Θέρμης. Και η Μαρία από το σχολείο της Θέρμης.
Και ως προς το δεύτερο debate, να μας πείτε το δεύτερο
είναι ο Άγγελος και η Στέλλα τι.
Τώρα να πούμε ότι σύμφωνα με τους κριτές, θα θέλατε, έτσι όπως τα είδαμε και έτσι όπως τα βάλανε τις βαθμολογίες τους και αυτά, έτυχε και αυτό που φάνηκε ήταν ότι η δική μας η ομάδα φάνηκε λίγο καλύτερη σε αυτή την περίπτωση και στα δύο debates.
Εγώ θέλω να συγχαρώ τα παιδιά. Καταρχάς, επειδή αφιέρωναν μία ώρα την εβδομάδα, ίσως και παραπάνω, για να κάνουν κάτι στα αγγλικά, πέρα από τα αγγλικά που πάνε έξω, σε εισαγωγικά. Έτσι, είναι πολύ συγκινητικό. Το λέω γιατί και εγώ έχω παιδιά και η κυρία Πέκη και δεν κάνουν το κάτι παραπάνω, ίσως για άλλους λόγους. Οπότε μας τιμάτε και εμάς, πραγματικά. Και πέρα από την συμμετοχή και τη δουλειά που κάνατε στο σπίτι και μαζί μας, στην τάξη, σε WebEx meeting, οπουδήποτε, μας τιμήσατε κυρίως επειδή είσαστε πολύ καλά παιδιά. Υπήρχε μια ευγένεια που βγήκε. Χαίρομαι που κάνετε παρέα, που σχολιάζετε ο ένας τον άλλο, που ήρθε για παράδειγμα η Στέλλα και στην Χάρη, την αντίπαλη ομάδα, που είπε τι της άρεσε, ήσασταν φοβεροί. Νομίζω ότι αυτό πρέπει να μείνει, έτσι. Και από εκεί και ύστερα να το συνεχίσετε εσείς της Τρίτης Γυμνασίου, να το διεκδικήσετε στο Λύκειο. Είναι πάρα πολύ ωραίο. Πολύ ωραία διαδικασία. Να μην σας πω τα επιστημονικά, τι συνάψεις γίνονται όταν κάποιος προσπαθεί να κάνει rebuttal εκείνη τη στιγμή που ο άλλος μόλις έχει πει το κειμενάκι που έχει προετοιμάσει. Συγχαρητήρια σε όλους.
Ότι όλα αυτά τα βάζετε μια χαρά στο βιογραφικό σας και στα ξένα πανεπιστήμια και στα καλά πανεπιστήμια. Θέλετε να το πείτε εσείς στο βίντεο. Στα ξένα και στα καλά πανεπιστήμια. Αυτό είναι κάτι που μετράει πάρα πολύ.
Έτσι, συμφωνώ πάρα πολύ σωστό και αυτό που είπε. Μία κουβέντα θα μας πει και ο κύριος Αναστασίου, έτσι μια εντύπωση.
Καλά, είναι κάτι το οποίο επεκτείνεται γενικώς και σε άλλα σχολεία. Δηλαδή το είναι κάτι που προάγει τη συμμετοχικότητα, την ενεργή συμμετοχή των μαθητών και φυσικά το θέλουμε κι εμείς, είτε ως σύμβουλοι τώρα πια είτε ως εκπαιδευτικοί, μας αρέσει γιατί βλέπουμε τα παιδιά να εξωτερικεύουν τον εσωτερικό του κόσμο και να παίρνουν θέση απέναντι σε συστήματα, όπως είπα και στο Σάββα πριν, να παίρνουν θέση σε συστήματα σύγχρονα τα οποία θα τα βρουν μπροστά τους και πρέπει να έχουν απόψη.
Ωραία. Κυρία Παπαφατζέ, μας πει κάτι.
Ναι, εγώ ήμουν εντυπωσιασμένη. Ίσως επειδή έχω χρόνια να δουλέψω με παιδιά γυμνασίου, επειδή είμαι στο Λύκειο. Καταρχήν αξιέπαινε η πρωτοβουλία σας των συναδέλφων εδώ της Αγγλικής. Ξέρω πόσο ασχολιζόμαστε στα σχολεία μας. Ακόμα και το να βρούμε ένα παιδιά και όπως είπατε, έστω και αυτή την ώρα πολύ δύσκολα τα παιδιά, ενώ θέλουν δύσκολα την βρίσκουν. Παιδιά, ήσασταν όλοι καταπληκτικοί. Και ως προς το θέμα που εμένα μου φάνηκαν δύσκολα αυτά τα θέματα, ίσως δεν περίμενα ότι θα είναι της ηλικίας σας θέματα, αλλά καταφέρατε και τα αναπτύξατε με τη σωστή προετοιμασία από πίσω πάρα πολύ καλά. Και θα συμφωνήσω και με την κυρία Κουβαρίδου, ίσως το πιο δύσκολο είναι όταν μιλούσε μια ομάδα και η άλλη μετά έπρεπε να κάνει ερωτήσεις σε αυτά που άκουγε εκείνη τη στιγμή. Και είδα, αυτό που είδα εγώ τουλάχιστον έτσι όπως παρουσιάζατε, δεν διαβάζατε από χαρτί. Ήταν πολύ σημαντικά, δηλαδή αυτό το σκέτο presentation που είδα, ειλικρινά ήταν σε μια ευχάριστη έκπληξη, όπως είπα και στο Σάββατο, στο συμμαθητή σας. Εύχομαι να έχετε όλη τη διάθεση και να σας έρθουν όλα βολικά και του χρόνου και όπως σας είπαμε να το απαιτήσετε και από το καινούργιο στο σχολείο ή και εσείς που κάνετε Τρίτη Γυμνασίου του χρόνου να ζητάτε και από μόνοι σας, να προτείνετε και εσείς πράγματα να κάνουμε στο σχολείο. Εμείς θα είμαστε δίπλα σας όλοι εκπαιδευτικοί να σας στηρίσουμε στις ιδέες σας. Και μην ξεχάσετε να το βάλετε στο βιογραφικό σας όπως είπε η κυρία Σωτηρίου. Πραγματικά μετράει πολύ.
Να συμπληρώσω και κάτι ότι το ίδιο πράγμα εγώ είμαι καθηγητής Αγγλικών στο δημοτικό. Έτσι ξαναβρέθηκα στη Γυμνάσιο και μετά από 20 πόσα χρόνια προσωπικά. Εγώ γυρίστηκα στο δημοτικό, είμαι καθηγητής δημοτικού τα ονομαστικά. Το κάναμε και στο δημοτικό. Και μάλιστα e-debate μέσα από υπολογιστή. Μπορείτε να βρείτε, δηλαδή υπάρχει και σε δημοσιευμένους άνθρωπο ότι το έχουμε κάνει. Είναι κάτι που μου αρέσει και εμένα και το έχω κάνει στο δημοτικό. Φυσικά σε πολύ πιο πληροφορία εννοείται. Να ξέρετε δηλαδή ότι είναι. Για όλους μας ισχύει αυτό, θέλουμε να δούμε πράγματα από εσάς, αλλά πρέπει να θέλετε κι εσείς. Ξέρετε, είναι it takes two του τάγκο. Να το θυμάστε αυτό, έτσι. Πρέπει δύο πλευρές να συμμετέχουν, να συνεισφέρουν για να βγει κάτι καλό. Έτσι. Ούτε μόνο εσείς μπορείτε να κάνετε κάτι, ούτε μόνο εμείς. Πρέπει να γίνουμε στη συνεργασία. Συγχαρητήρια.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Εδώ μπορούμε να